Hi, my friends. Yesterday I had a profound experience. After a few days of lingering physical pain in my knees and right side, I received acupuncture and something shifted, not just in my body, but in my being. The pain dissipated. Yes, but what emerged was a deep awareness that healing doesn't just come from the body, it comes through the soul. Later that day, I opened the Corpus Hermeticum. And there it was, Hermes Trismegistus teaching about the soul, the ether, and how the unseen world supports all motion and healing. This is what I want to talk about with you today, how the soul lifts two bodies, the physical and the etheric, and what that means for your own healing and spiritual journey. The soul bears the weight, Hermes says, that which does move, another is animate. In other words, the soul alone lifts two bodies, the lifter and the lifted. I had to think about that for a while. Your soul, the animating force within you, is not only responsible for moving your own body, but also for everything you interact with. The tools you use, the energy you manage, the emotions you carry. In psychology, this parallels the idea of cognitive load, the mental strain of juggling thoughts, memories, and tasks. But Hermes is pointing to a spiritual load, a soul load. Jesus said something similar in Matthew 11. Come unto me, all ye who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What if that lightness Jesus refers to comes from shifting the burden from ego mind to soul mind? Here's the misunderstanding of emptiness. We are asked in the Corpus Hermeticus if an empty cup is truly empty, and Hermes replies, think you that things most full are void? Is not air a body, and does it not pervade all things? That reminded me of what the Tao Te Ching says. We mold clay into a pot, but it's the emptiness inside that makes the vessel useful. Chapter 11. I used that in a couple teachings ago. The Tao teaches that emptiness isn't nothingness, it's potential. In Hermetic terms, what we call void is filled with ether, spirit, and presence. In A Course in Miracles, Jesus reminds us there's no place where God is not. Even your pain, your grief, your sense of emptiness, these aren't voids, they're wombs. In the feminine, the spiritual feminine, places where divine healing is already forming. If we allow it, let us think of the mind as the bodiless field. Hermes explains that everything moves within something, not in a void, but in the bodiless, which he names as mind and reason, the archetype of soul, whose rays are good, truth, and light, beyond light. This description is eerily similar to how quantum physics describes the zero-point field. Everything's energy, and even what we perceive as space is teeming with potentiality. In spiritual language, this is the Christ mind. And of course, in Miracles, it says the mind is very powerful and never loses its creative force. It never sleeps. We live in a field of intelligence, so when we experience healing, whether through acupuncture, prayer, or love, it's not coming from the body, it's coming through the body, from the field that surrounds and supports all things. And here's the psychological bridge. From a psychological standpoint, pain can be seen as somatization, or the body expressing what the mind suppresses. The body becomes a mouthpiece for the soul's neglected voice. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Hermes invites us to reframe that. Perhaps it's the soul moving through us, seeking to align the seen with the unseen, the conscious with the unconscious. Yesterday, my pain didn't just release from my tissues, it unhooked from my belief that I was separate from healing, separate from God. Here's my new understanding of healing. So, what if we stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And instead asked, what in me is ready to be moved by my soul to healing? The healing is just not in the needles or the words or the breath or whatever form you're choosing for healing. The healing is in the alignment. The moment when your soul says, I'm ready to lift these two bodies, physical and energetic, and return them to harmony, to God, to love. And as Hermes says, God is not any one of these. He's the cause of all that is. God's not the pain, not the void, not even the healer. God is the one who makes the healing possible, who is the space in which all healing arises. So today, take a breath, place a hand over your heart, and whisper to yourself, even in what feels empty, I am full of spirit, because you are not broken. You're not lifeless. You are not a void. You are the soul that lifts two bodies. If this talk spoke something deep in you, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share this message. You never know who else is carrying the same soul burden. Silence. And remember, you are not moving alone. The ether moves with you.